rusher, but it seems like health has been an issue for him since he's been in the league. So now the question is whether, it would be smart to trade him off, although the market did show that trading him wouldn't really net that much of positive draft capital. It looks like it might have been maybe a fifth or a sixth round pick. If you're Joe Shane and Brian Dable and your goal is to win now and win some games, would it make sense to trade him away for a pick that you may not even have the chance of using because you may be fired at the end of the season anyway? So I thought the smart move in that moment was to not trade him, and hope that maybe you can capitalize on a smaller contract in the offseason unless the team is willing to overpay for him. That's kind of what I got out of the Za'Darius situation.
Anything on Dexter Lawrence? I'm gonna keep asking about Dexter. I'm gonna keep on asking about Dexter, man.
Yeah, I mean the guy's a stud. You can say he's one of the top two defensive tackles, along with Chris Jones. He just wreaks havoc game in and game out on the defensive line. I know there were some rumors that were kind of circulating on Twitter that that's a guy that, could be on the move because simply the team is not winning. And who knows if he really wants to stick around, for what is looking like a lengthy rebuild again. But I don't think he's going to move. I think he's a great captain. He's a great leader. I think he really wants to be in there for the long haul. And he wants to be part of the reason why this thing turns around. But
he's a great player, period. Like I've been saying that for like the last 3 years. I think even though Aaron Donald got a lot of the pub because Aaron Donald got all the high sack totals, I felt like Dexter and Chris Jones were like the best noses / 2 techs / 3 techs in the league, man. And I felt that way about Dexter since Clemson.
Yeah. Obviously the Giants took him, in the middle of the first round, the same year with Daniel Jones. I think it took a little bit for him to really begin the dominant play that we are seeing him do now. As a nose tackle to, be up there leading the league in sacks when you're constantly being double teamed is a testament to his ability as a pass rusher. So, we're lucky to have him. I'm just hoping that this team can start winning some games and, keep the locker room happy, because once you lose that locker room, I think you're going to start seeing the real vocal guys really show that they may not be there for the long run. So I'm hopeful, but
hey, Lamar,
you
got any questions for this man about the New York Giants?
Yeah, I wanted Azulari and I wanted Neighbors for a 6th rounder. You interested? Is this I need Neighbors, not because I need Neighbors. I just lack. I
need less neighbors. I need land with no neighbors.
Look, man, I've been in your shoes, man. I've been in your shoes for years. You got championships. I don't. You got like 4 of them things.
Yeah.
I don't. And I've been in your shoes for a long time. So I know the season seems lost or whatever, but we got to put the tape. Good tape happens. And I'm going to speak to that because we were 1-6, dead in the water. I was on deployment at the time, and we went on this magical run. It started with the Giants, ironically.
Yeah.
And then went to the Jets and went to all these other teams. And we finished that year 9-8. So, just hanging there, man. I'm sure you go get to the wild card. The quarterback just threw. He threw his first touchdown in New York. Prime time. Wow. But it is what it is, man. Y'all gonna hang through, man. I believe in your GM. No, I believe in your coach. Matter of fact, let me take that back. I believe in your coach.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It's safe to say that this game coming up against the Panthers is very, very important.
Oh yeah,
because
Panthers, they get people fired.
Yeah, and you're 2-7. You're in Germany. if you have another bad performance offensively against a team that is very poor defensively, I could really see that's the moment where Jones maybe heads to the bench and they put in somebody new. Because you just can't keep losing. I mean, Mara, the owner, came out and was in full support of Joe Shane and Brian Daboll and wants to keep seeing it through. He doesn't believe that always changing those two, the coach and the GM is always a good thing. But this game is important. They have to win that. If Jones doesn't perform well, I can see them benching him and moving on to Drew Lock or Tommy DeVito. But we all kind of know that they don't really move the needle that much either. So, we'll see. That's a big game, even with both teams at 2-7. So,
yeah, big game.
Ashanti.
Yeah, what's up, man? What's up, fellas?
Hey,
what's up,
what's
Steve?
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Sanchez, what's going on, man?
What's going on?
Yeah, man. Condolences on this season, man. Oh my God. Hey,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I mean, when you look at like Jalen Hyatt, I was big on Jalen Hyatt, man.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, the quarterback situation, sort of like I think about Carolina with Deontay Johnson, Xavier Liggett, you know what I'm saying? And Bryce Young having issues, and it's like being a good receiver on a team with no quarterback is gotta be like a lonely feeling, man. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you know what I'm saying? I know Jalen Hyatt can play. I know we do. I don't know. You closer to the situation than me. To me, not even talking about what happened this year. It's just like it hasn't worked out. I thought Brian Daboll got the playoff win.
Yeah.
They beat Minnesota, and everything was looking up for the Giants, man. I don't know what the heck happened. You know what I'm saying? I do like what's the kid from Purdue that's running the rock right now?
Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah. It seemed like y'all found a low budget, tough. You know what I'm saying? Exactly what you need at running back. So, I mean, man, you got some pieces there with Neighbors and,
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? It just, I don't know. Maybe it's the coach. I don't know. It's hard to put your finger on it. I like Thibodeau. Dexter Lawrence, one of my favorite players. I mean, man, not Dexter Lawrence. I can't think of his name.
Brian Burns.
Burns.
Not Burns. No, who's the defensive tackle? I like.
Yeah,
Brian
you just said him, Dexter Lawrence. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, Dexter. I'm sorry, Steve. But
no, you're good.
Y'all got something there. It's something there with that team, man. I don't get it. I just don't. You know.
Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. Well, I just want to say I don't know why y'all gave that boy 26 though. Why y'all do that, man? Why y'all?
Who? Tracy?
Yeah, I thought he had 26.
No, 29.
Oh, okay. I was about to say
he took Xavier McKinney's number. That's another guy that people keep criticizing the team about. So man, when you look at it now, one could argue that playoff run where they won that playoff game, went to the divisional round, may have set that team back. Honestly, it may have set them back because they weren't in position to get a quarterback. I think from everything that you saw, it looked like Joe Shane was really enamored with CJ Stroud, and we all can see what CJ Stroud is doing now. And then last year, they weren't in position to get Jaden Daniels or Drake May, as you probably saw in Hard Knocks. It looks like they were very adamant about getting them. But going back to the thing with Brian Daboll, last year it was, can this guy coach? And it turns out that he did get some wins down the stretch with Tommy DeVito, but it also put him out of position to get that quarterback that it seems like they really wanted.
Yeah.
And now there's, so now people are saying, oh, well, okay, it looks like he can coach, but now he probably should get fired because the team is still going backwards. So it's like you can't really win in that situation with that. And then one last thing I'll address with Jalen Hyatt, like in training camp, it looks by all the beat reporters that were reporting on it that Hyatt was operating as the number 2, and it looks like he was running. His route running was developing. It looks like he was very involved in the first team offense, and then week 1 came around and the guy wasn't getting any targets or any snaps for that matter. So it's just been kind of a mystery with what's going on with Hyatt. I personally think that because the offense is limited with Daniel Jones and not being able to push the ball downfield, I think it takes away from his skill set.
Yeah.
And if you're only targeting him once, one time a game, what the target is. It's going to be deep down the field. So teams can just play back and just, sit back on the ball. So
what y'all need to do. Oh, my bad.
No, go ahead.
What y'all need to do, I know you have no control over it, but y'all need to get in trips right, trips left, bunch everything in small formations, and start running a lot of mesh concepts. Start running a lot of rail concepts where you got the post to the outside, you got the deep route, and start running a lot of bootleg stuff because I know Daniel Jones can run. I know he's off the injury, but he still can run. You got to let him work with half the field. Like Ryan Daboll is expecting him to be a field general. And I know he's in year 2, 3 of this offense, year 4.
Yeah, year 3.
But at the same time, like this guy, I'm sorry. It's not you. I know it's not you. But Daniel Jones, he cannot do anything elite. And I heard this from a New York Giants YouTuber named Authentic. He cannot do anything. I love Authentic.
I follow him,
me and him have talked. He cannot do anything elite. He cannot manipulate the pocket elite. He cannot throw the ball elite. He cannot hold on to the ball elite. He cannot run the ball elite. He can't do nothing elite. So we got to work with him. We got to Jared Goff him. We got to figure it out what he likes to do, what he likes to run in order to get this thing moving because y'all still got a shot. Like you win 3 games and then you're 4-7. You're 4-7, and then you're looking at the NFC, how weak it is in this reclamation year. Probably push another 5 games, at least be 7-10, at least be or 9-8.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right on everything that you just mentioned there with Jones. I just don't think he can hit guys in stride consistently, and you see it with a guy like Neighbors who is explosive after the catch. He wins deep. He wins with short routes and taking them, for chunk gains. He's a yak receiver. He's very explosive. Jones can't hit him in stride consistently. You always see Neighbors kind of reaching back a little bit when the ball's coming his way. And then when he reaches back, the defender closes in and, disrupts the pass. So that's the thing. It's Dayball's telling us that Jones gives us the best chance to win, which means that Locke and DeVito are god awful then if they can't even, do anything even more positive with the offense. I'd rather see Drew Locke at this point because I know he can throw it deep and I know he will throw it.
Yeah. Exactly.
But if you're just going to keep playing Daniel Jones, well, defenses are just playing up. They know they don't have to sit back deep. They can just play up. They can beat, they can beat guys on the short routes. They can beat them on the sticks. So.
Yeah.
One more thing, man. Wheaton, wide receiver out of West Virginia. What's happening with him?
I think he's on special teams right now. I know he's working his way back from the ACL. It looks like he was just he just needed a lot of time on the practice squad and getting reps on that end. But obviously the torn ACL derailed that last year. So he's a year behind, obviously. He did score that touchdown against the Seahawks when Isaiah Simmons leapfrogged the guard in the center and blocked the punt, or the field goal, where they returned it for the touchdown. I don't know if he's going to get any looks down the stretch. It looks like they're just they have a log jam there with Neighbors, Wandell, and Darius Slayton, who wasn't moved.
Y'all got a lot of athletes, man. Like Wheaton.
We do.
6'3", 6'4", 220 pounds, ran 4'3", 40-inch vertical. Neighbors is a big-time raw athlete. Hyatt is a speed guy. You'd be shocked at the difference a quarterback makes, man. You look at all those players that Houston had before Stroud got there. When what was the name? The quarterback there with the long neck.
Davis Mills.
Davis Mills.
Yeah.
Like, nothing looked right. Nothing looked right with that team. Now, granted, they hit a home run with DeMeco Ryans the very next year. They got Will Anderson. They got a lot of different players, good players. Tank Dell, hell of a player. But it took the quarterback, and Mike made that comment in the comment section. Pieces without glue is nothing. And typically you want the quarterback to be that glue. We see the difference a quarterback makes in Washington. Like everything was Sam Howell's fault last year and prior to that. And I was one of the people that kind of felt like, Sam Howell deserved a little bit more time. He was the most sacked quarterback in the league. How can you make an honest assessment of a quarterback that is the most sacked in the league? Like, being honest about it.
Right.
And things are different. The offensive line is better this year. I mean, you look at that way, but I mean, listen, Mom asked you, if a dude is the most sacked quarterback in the league, how do you get the honest assessment of him?
You have an honest assessment with 4 years with Daniel Jones. You have the whole fan.
I'm talking about Washington, though. I'm talking about Washington.
I thought you were using that case to advocate him.
No, I was just talking about just in general as far as the difference a quarterback makes. And Jayden Daniels stepped into Washington, and now Terry McLaurin is getting the football. The running game looks like everything looks better because of Jayden Daniels. And you put Jayden Daniels in New York, granted they don't have Malik Neighbors, but I would rather have Jayden Daniels over Malik Neighbors if we're being honest about it. I bet you those receivers will look a hell of a lot better with Jayden Daniels.
100%. I mean, Washington lost Curtis Samuel and Jahan Dotson.
Yes.
This season. So really his true number one options is Terry McLaurin, Noah Brown, and then Zach Ertz, who's providing something. And
he's making it happen with that.
And they're 7-2. So when I hear Giants fans saying, "Oh, we're not a quarterback away," I definitely think that we are a quarterback away. So
y'all wanted Daniels. Y'all knew it. We knew it. We've seen Hard Knocks.
Culture wins, though. Culture wins at the end of the year, man. Because everybody said those culture wins matter for Brian Daboll to see if he can coach. And guess what? You got your culture wins, and you have no quarterback. So
everybody got fooled by Daboll coming in and cleaning up, quote unquote, cleaning up Daniel Jones. And he rushed for a bunch of touchdowns and still didn't throw for shit.
He is who he is.
I'm sick of seeing it for the Giants too, man.
Yeah.
I like Daboll though. Don't get rid of Daboll. That GM.
I don't think they should get rid of Daboll. If you fully believe that they're the guys that can pick their own quarterback and fully develop that quarterback, then you got to keep him.
That GM ruined himself when he got rid of Saquon. He ruined himself.
Now look at Saquon.
We would have been in the same spot, I think. Okay. We were 2-6 with him last year. We're 2-7 without him. And the only reason it hurts is because he's in Philly. If he was on a team like Houston or Baltimore, nobody would really be that upset. But look at the Titans. They got rid of Derrick Henry. Nobody's saying anything about them, but the Giants are the bad guys for getting rid of Saquon. I don't know.
You're in New York, man. Nobody cares about Tennessee. Nobody cares about the Vols.
Titans, that's true.
Even though I do like the Titans, man. I was a huge Houston Florida fan back in the day, but I mean, everything is bigger news in New York. That's just how it is.
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
But so let's get to this deadline, man. Nothing major for the Giants, but if we get into our Detroit Lions, Za'Darius Smith, unless you've been under a rock for the past 24 hours, Lions receive Za'Darius Smith, edge rusher from the Cleveland Browns, also a 2026 7th-round pick. Cleveland Browns receive a 2025 5th as well as a 2026 6th. I'm going to start first with this, then I'm going to kick it to you fellas. I was happy with this for a variety of reasons. For one, we don't have to really pay him much. We only paying him a little over $600,000 for the rest of the season because the Cleveland Browns paid majority of his salary for this season. Even if we only get 2 years out of Za'Darius, that's like down the stretch run of this season, and then next season he's back playing a specified specialist role for us. We go out, we draft a couple young edge rushers to play behind him, learn behind him, and if we want to move on from Za'Darius, if he's not productive, because he is 33, does have back issues. He hasn't been high-level productive Za'Darius Smith for a few years now. He was big-time productive in Green Bay, Baltimore Ravens, and we got him for pretty much nothing. We didn't have to give up any high draft capital. If you're looking at it for what it is financially, his implications on the payroll mean nothing. And we got a guy to step in, another active body that can get after the quarterback. Ashanti.
Yes, sir.
What are your first thoughts on this?
Yeah, I liked it from the start. You know what I mean? He's a guy that's been highly productive since, 2015. He has 65 career sacks. Like you said, I mean, he hasn't had double-digit sacks in a minute. I think the 1 year he played in Minnesota, he registered 10 sacks, and that was 2022. So I mean, it's in there. You know what I'm saying? He can do it. I mean, it's a guy who registered 26 sacks with the Packers in 2 seasons, and before he kind of made a name for himself with Baltimore, in 2018 with 8.5 sacks. So, I mean, this year he's already got 5 sacks in 8 games, something like that. So, yeah, I mean, obviously you're still trying to find, to replace Aiden Hutchinson at this point. And right now, I mean, other than Aiden being on the shelf, I mean, he's immediately the best pass rusher on the team. You know what I'm saying? And he hasn't even played yet. You know what I'm saying? That's how bleak it was at that position for us. You know what I mean? So I like it, man. You know what I'm saying? I like the move. It wasn't a move just for the sake of doing something. I think obviously we all agreed that they had to make, just to kind of tweak it because he wasn't getting the pressure on the quarterback. I think Sunday showed, Jordan Love on one leg pretty much doing whatever he wanted in the rain. You know what I'm saying? It was telling what we need. So I mean, I don't see Za'Darius Smith being Charles Harris, you know what I'm saying, or Romeo Okwara or Julian Okwara. I think he's more in a Marcus Davenport type. You know what I mean? But better than
Za'Darius got more bite to him.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's not something where it's just like to do something to shut everybody up. I think it is something that, hey man, you know what I'm saying? This guy can play like Shannon Sharp called him the other day. Like he's a professional pass rusher, and I agree with that. You know what I'm saying? So I like it. This culture just bleeds of professionalism. Dan Campbell, these guys, Aaron Glenn got some. These guys got something going, man. You gotta be able to bring a veteran in that you don't have to watch them and just like corral them. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We got a lot of immature bull crap going on anyway right now. So we kind of need somebody with some stability a little bit. That's an NFL player. You know what I'm saying? And I think he's exactly what we need to go on this Super Bowl run, man. And then he's highly motivated. Remember, he played with the Packers, played with the Vikings. I mean, he even said as such, like, listen, I'm ready to play in that division again. So I like it.
Played in Cleveland. More importantly, he's out of Cleveland.
Yeah. That's
no disrespect to Cleveland, but anybody that's been to Cleveland, I remember I had a job where we had to travel to Cleveland and stay in Cleveland for a week. 1 week out of every month, man. Those are weeks of my life I'll never get back.
Right.
I can't do it, man. Downtown Eastside Cleveland, I can't do it, bro. Can't do it. People talk a lot of garbage about Detroit. Detroit is Las Vegas compared to Cleveland, man. Like I can't do it, man. I can't do it. Lamar, what was your thoughts on this?
Look, let me tell you. If y'all looking for a savior, it's not him. Y'all looking for a Bruce Irvin, a little pump it up, that's cool. This guy is, I'm not going to say washed. I'm going to say he's rinsed dried. The towel is wringing itself out slowly but surely. He's here to help. He will be a help. You put him next to Reader. You put him next to Aleem. You put him obviously next to Houston. He's going to be the standout guy. Okay. But when Aiden gets back and Davenport gets back next season, he's going to be coming off the bench. And
you think he's back next year? Davenport?
I would hope so. I would hope they try to keep everybody, but obviously they're not. If they do draft somebody, it's probably going to be Jack Sawyer or somebody, at the bottom of the first round, probably go double dip, get one, defensive end, get another defensive end they really like. But one of those guys are going to be here. I don't know if it's going to be Za'Darius. I don't know if it's going to be Davenport. But in the case of Za'Darius, he cool. He's all right. I don't think he's going to be the help that everybody believes he's going to be. I think he's going to be cool. You're going to see some pressures. You might see 2 sacks, 3 sacks. But I feel like you're not going to see the Aiden Hutchinson. We're trying to replace the defensive player of the year. All right. I know y'all say he ain't won yet. And I understand that. We've talked about it in length. He ain't won it yet. But he has 7.5 sacks in 3 games. My man got 5 in 7. He's 7-1. He's on a 7-1 team. He's playing.
You expecting that from him though? Like, I think it's kind of unfair to.
I think the fans are putting that expectation on him. Like, we got Za'Darius Smith.
What irrational ass fans expecting that? They expecting Aiden Hutchinson stats?
They was clamoring for him. They was begging for him. They deserve this. When he go out there and put up 4 pressures, and they call it elite because that's why they're gonna rate it. He just needs time. He's rusty or whatever they're gonna say. Then by the end of the season, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, he's not that good. He's not that good." And I can't sugarcoat it. I can't do it. They want him to be like Aiden's replacement. Like, you can't replace. Micah Parsons can replace an Aiden Hutchinson. Only a few people. J.J. Watt. You're going to get a little bit of pressure from this guy, and he's not going to be it, bro. He's going to be all right. He's going to be like Bruce Irvin. He's going to have 2 sacks. And be like, hey, okay.
I think he plays a lot more than Irvin. He's going to probably play a lot more Irvin. Yeah. I think they needed a body. Before I get to you.
That's what he is.
They needed another body. Just from a numbers game alone, we lost too many people.
Yeah.
We lost too many people, so they had to get somebody out there. They had to get somebody that can actually pressure the quarterback, because enough of this asking defensive tackles to be edge rushers. Makai, we know this isn't your bread and butter, but go hang out on the edge and rush the quarterback. Levi, we know you're a natural 4-3-3 tech, but step in this 3-4, step in this 4-2-5 and be some edge. Like, that's not what they are. And I do think a lot of fans figure, oh, well, Aiden's gone, we'll just bump this guy out the edge rusher. Like, there's a reason why defensive tackles play defensive tackle. There's a reason why edge rushers play edge. You can't just, like, chess piece, just move everybody along on the defensive line like that. That's not how that shit works. But anyway, Steve, what do you thought about this, man?
Yeah, I mean, you guys said it. They needed a body in there. Obviously, that loss of Aiden Hutchinson is tough. I'm looking at your guys' depth chart. I know James Houston was a nice story last year. I don't know exactly the impact that he's had this year. I haven't really heard his name a whole lot. Nothing much. I think I don't know exactly where the lines were with the Giants and Aziz, whether that was a guy that they were targeting. I don't know if maybe the price was just not enough for Joe Schoen to accept the trade. But, I was watching Get Up, what was it, last week, and what's his name? Mike Tannenbaum had that ridiculous trade offer where you guys were going to give Jahmyr Gibbs and 3 first-rounders for Myles Garrett. I think
a second too.
And a second, and Ryan Clark walked off the set, and they were checking to see what he was drinking. That would have been one hell of a blockbuster. But that obviously would have, catapulted you guys, I think. But we'll see what Smith does. You need motor, you need a body, and see if something happens. And I like the way you guys play. You guys definitely have the Giants number every time you guys play. It's pretty embarrassing, but
I mean,
other guys need to step up, but
y'all actually be fighting us though. I mean, like fisticuffs, like you guys, exchange blows. You guys do a great job of just hitting us in the face at practice. And sometimes
those are times.
The game. Yeah.
In the face in practice. So I want to ask you guys this. I think we all see the Lions are 7-1 right now, probably playing the best overall football in the league. Whether people believe they're the best team in the league, that's neither here nor there. But this is a team that is obviously heading in the right direction, playoff bound, possibly number 1, number 2 seed bound. I want to get into something because I thought about this last night after the trade, because typically after teams make trades, the first thing fans do is wonder, how close is my team now to the Lombardi Trophy? I want to get to the playoffs because I got everybody's playoff predictions up here as far as the NFC. Lamar, you've got Detroit. All 4 of us have Detroit. All four of us have
That's right.
Detroit, but I think number 2 is where the differences start, and then it moves kind of down like that. All three of you guys have Washington. I have Philadelphia for a couple reasons. I think when you look at Philly, not Philly, but when you look at Washington, Dan Quinn, he's doing a hell of a job with that defense, considering the materials he has to work with right now. They did trade for Marshawn Lattimore. I don't know how big of a deal that's going to be. I know a lot of people are hype about that. Marshawn is a hell of a player. Used to be a hell of a player, but right now I think he's on the tail end of his career, health-wise. Does he help out the secondary, especially at corner? Hell yeah, because cornerback-wise, they haven't been good at all. They actually were shopping Emmanuel Forbes, former first-round pick from last year. They were hurt. They were shopping him at the deadline. But I just think Washington is maybe a year or two away. They're kind of like call them Houston Astros. They're kind of like the Houston Texans of last year. You know, you're looking really hot right now, but it's a 17-game season. And I think a team like Philadelphia, I just think Philadelphia is just ahead of them right now. You know, and I think, what is it, one game that's separating them right now in the East? I think it's just a matter of time before the Eagles finally chase them down. Because now we're talking about big boy football. We're talking about week 9, 10, 11, 12 moving forward. And for a lot of those young players on the Washington Commanders, they used to playing 10 games, 11 games in college, not necessarily 12 or 13 like that, especially unless you play for one of those programs that is consistently playing in the college football playoff. But I just think that, man, this part of the season is big boy football right now. We make a lot of jokes about Nick Sirianni and his coaching style and him and his pressures after the games, before the games, or whatever. But I think that team is just more battle tested. Washington could be better moving forward, but I think right now the Eagles, if we talking about over the next 8 games, who catches who holds off, I think the Eagles will hold off Washington. What are you guys' thoughts on that number 2, and why you guys are all pretty much going straight with Washington?
Well, I'm just gonna say this. I mean, I got Washington just because I think they're better than Philly right now. I mean, Philly, thank God they got Saquon Barkley. In my opinion, I just think that team is. We talked about it at length for the past couple of shows. I do think that they are still there. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people just automatically just move them out the way, so to speak, which is kind of disrespectful. I think they will be a tough out in the playoffs, but I think they're going to be a road team, man, in the playoffs. I really do. But they got enough savvy, they got enough veteran leadership to do something and still win on the road. You know what I'm saying, in the playoffs. But I think Washington going to win that division, man. I think the quarterback, when you get a new quarterback like Jaden Daniels, you got kind of an advantage a little bit because we know. Teams start to get tape on you. But I think with him, he's this year's CJ Stroud. I think that, whatever it is between the coaching staff, the scheme, the players, when you can listen, bro, y'all know, y'all can all attest to this. When you got a receiver you trust, I'm telling you, when the chips, when Terry catch everything, bro. You know what I'm saying? And he makes bad plays look good, bad throws look good. Jaden Daniels just got a good feel for the game, man. And I think that's playing loose. They got 7 wins. They playing with house money right now. They can go the rest of the year with just being loose and just having fun and just play, feed off the crowd, feed off that nice young quarterback they got. I can see them winning 3 or 4 more games and locking that division down, just in my opinion. But like I said, Philly, I got them at number 5 because I just think they're going to finish second in the East. But they are dangerous. I got an asterisk by Philly because I think that they can, they can make some noise too. So,
yeah. Lamar.
Yeah.
I know you got some work to do, but
yeah.
Like I said, Washington is the one team right there that all 3 of you guys did agree on. Yeah. Then you get to number 3. You got the Rams. Steven has Atlanta. Ashanti has Atlanta. I have the Rams. So that's 2 Atlanta, 2 Rams. What are you guys' discussion on that between the Rams and the Falcons? Because I think the Rams have a tougher plight because right now Arizona's ahead of them at 5-4.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're talking about the San Francisco 49ers. Just giving the 49ers the respect I think they've garnered. I think a lot of people are expecting on them naturally to go on a run simply because we've seen them start season slow and go on runs late. Why do you guys have the Rams? Where do you got them?
I got the Rams. I'll tell you, I got the Rams where I got them. Only because they start late. Seems like they've been. This is their second year dealing with the amount of injuries that they have, and they're starting to get healthy. They're starting to rebound again. I don't think they're the toughest team in that division. I don't think they're the most physical. I just think they find a way to be more efficient, and I think that Matthew Stafford's there, and he's focused in, he's locked in. He's going to dig you out of a hole. You can start 1-4 and then get to 4-4, and now you have a clear shot to the playoffs. I think the division also is a little easier than most people give it credit for. I think the Cardinals, they'll give away a win. They'll give away several wins if they could. And I think that when you look at San Francisco, I just feel like they're old. I feel like the time has come. Brock Purdy hasn't put up the stellar numbers that he did last year, and he's kind of regressed a little bit. So I'm a little concerned about that. But in terms of just the Rams outlook, I know they have a harder schedule than Atlanta. Atlanta definitely has the easier road to the third seed. But when I look at the Rams, they're battle tested, and I look at a team that has, that was 3-6 and fought their way back, with an injured quarterback, with injuries all around, a young defense. They've just recently traded away their best corner. Don't know why, but he was getting cooked left and right. But he was coming off an injury, Trayvon Watt. So when I look at the Rams, I just feel like that ability to dig themselves out of a hole, I think that's an elite trait that most teams don't have. And I know Matthew Stafford very well. And every time you write him off, he never writes back. So I just feel like they definitely could be a third seed. Maybe they drop to a fourth seed, but they it is most complete, I would say, as they've been, in that young defense is still competing. So,
Steven.
Yeah. Obviously I have Atlanta. Yeah, I have Atlanta as the 3. I think Lamar made some good points with, they could maybe just kind of flip towards the end of the year. Looking at Atlanta's schedule, they have the Saints coming up, and then, we know the Saints are not going anywhere this year. They just fired their head coach. Chris Olave is dealing with another injury. That team is very depleted. As we mentioned, they traded Marshawn Lattimore, so that team is kind of mailing it in. I see that they have the Broncos before bye, and then the Chargers, which is playing inspired football behind Jim Harbaugh. It's good to see. That's tough. And, you have Minnesota in there as well, which is tough. Schedule last 4 games is pretty easy. You're at Las Vegas. You're playing my Giants, who are terrible. You play Washington, and then you play Carolina at home. So I think they're starting to click a little bit more offensively. I think Kirk is getting a little bit more comfortable. I don't know exactly the extent of Drake London's injury now. Obviously, he left with that hip against the Cowboys. I still think they're not using Bijan enough. I think the split with him and Tyler Algier is fine and all, but I think they got to find him more touches, as well as Kyle Pitts. You kind of just don't know what kind of player you're going to get every week with Kyle Pitts. He's either going to go off like he did against the Bucs, or he's just going to be very quiet. One of the surprises for me definitely is Darnell Mooney. I think he's a great fit with Kirk. And defensively, they're kind of holding teams, in check, kind of like a bend but don't break defense. I think they're just, good enough to win that division. You have the Bucs, who are dealing with a ton of injuries, and there's really not much to say with Carolina and New Orleans. So if it wasn't for the Bucs and their injuries, I think the Bucs would be up there. I think I would have Atlanta a little bit lower, but it looks like Tampa's just kind of hanging on there for dear life. So and a tough game this week against the 49ers, and Atlanta has the one with New Orleans. So that's just, I think, another win for Atlanta, and it's just going to push the lead a little bit further.
Yeah. All right, number 5 is where we have 5 different teams. Lamar, you got Green Bay. Steven, you got Minnesota. Shanti, you got Philadelphia, and I got Washington. A lot of that has to do with the fact that we have the divisional winners, of course, in 1 through 4, and these are the teams that all 4 of us figure are going to finish second in those divisions. So I don't think we really have to comment on that too much because we all feel like Washington and Philly are pretty much 1 and 2 over there in the East, and you're talking about Minnesota and Green Bay are going to be battling for number 2 behind the Detroit Lions. 6 and 7. I don't really believe in Frisco like that. I think Frisco, this is going to be one of those down seasons for them. They do for one. They kind of been overachieving the last 2 or 3 years, going through a laundry long list of injuries throughout the season, and then circling the wagons and going on a 6-7 game winning streak and hitting the playoffs hot. I think they're crapping out this season. I just don't think Frisco makes it. I think they started behind the 8 ball a little too bad. They spotted too many games to Arizona, the Rams as well. You're talking about competing against Green Bay and Minnesota. Also, Washington jumped up. Nobody expected Washington to be there. So I'm not as sold on San Francisco like that. Now, everybody else agrees on Minnesota for the most part, as far as being 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ashanti, what do you think about those last 3 seeds?
Yeah,
I'm gonna get out of here, man.
I got you, brother. Appreciate you joining us tonight too.
Yes, sir. Sir.
Yes, talk to you, Lamar.
Yeah.
Hey, nice meeting you, man. Take care.
All love to you guys, man.
Yeah, you too, man.
Take care.
All right.
See you, Avery.
See you.
Yeah, they're like the Rams, man. I just think they're gonna win that division. You look at that division, it's chaos, man. 4 and 4, 4 and 4, 4 and 4, 3 and 4. Seattle just went by the wayside, man. I think a rookie head coach. Their team talented as hell, but I don't know if Seattle can keep. I can't say they can't keep pace because they're all damn near tied. But I don't know. I trust Matthew Stafford in a role where he has to win some games down the stretch, maybe win it in the fourth quarter. Even though Geno been balling, I gotta give Geno Smith some credit. He's been throwing the rock pretty good, but I just trust Stafford more. So that's why I'm saying the Rams are gonna win the West. And as far as Philly go in my book, I told you why I like Philly to finish second. Green Bay is man, it could be switched. It could be maybe Minnesota finished 7th and Green Bay 6th, or maybe I even told you, I text you, I think the Cardinals could sneak in there and overtake Minnesota. Listen, this is a big 4 or 5 games for Sam Darnold, man. I think that, if he's going to continue to lead this team, I mean, really, since the Lions beat him, he's looked beatable. You know what I'm saying? He looked really good the first four wins of the season when they was 4-5-0. And ever since then, I mean, he's been okay. I mean, he's not been like real bad, but
they tried to give that game away the other night, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He tried to.
And if he plays like that, I haven't looked at the schedule. I don't know if they play. I gotta think they play the Cardinals. And if they do,
week 13.
Yeah, yup. Okay, thanks, Steve. Yup, that might be for a playoff spot. You know what I'm saying? And I trust Arizona to win that game. So it could be Green Bay, Arizona for me, at the end. So
I mean, you know how I feel about the
Packers.
Yeah. My question about Arizona is the fact that they won a lot of 1-point and 2-point games this season.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now they blew out the Rams. I think was it week 2 they blew out the Rams, or week 3. It was week 2 they blew out the Rams, but they've won a lot of close call games. Now, granted, they won up on San Francisco. They won up on the Rams, but they did lose to us. Yeah. Now, do they have an opportunity to win that division? Hell yeah. Because once you start beating teams in your own division, that Rams game that they got against Arizona coming up is huge.
Mm-hmm.
If the Rams blow that game to Arizona, they already blew a game to us. And then same thing with Frisco. Like Frisco has already lost to Arizona and the Rams. So like once you start losing those divisional games, man, that slope started getting kind of sketchy for you. But that's the reason I had Minnesota at 7. I think it's going to come down to Minnesota and Green Bay the last couple of weeks of the season. It's going to probably come down to Minnesota needing to beat us week 18 to finish probably 6 or 5 or something like that. We're going to go out there. We're going to step on Minnesota throats, and that's going to push Minnesota down to the 7th seed. Yeah. That's kind of what I think is going to happen. Because even Green Bay, man, as much as I do like Green Bay as a team, and we talked about this before the Green Bay game. We did the preview show last week. If you look at the team and how they're built and the quarterback play, and I love Jordan Love talent-wise, how far do you really expect to get with a quarterback that averages a turnover a game? Right. And then, the pick 6 against us last week, he has been consistently making the play he can't make. And you can't really be an elite team with a quarterback that is constantly doing that. I don't care how talented you are. Early on in Stafford's career, what was the knock on him? The turnovers, the pick 6s. We understand you have the big cannon and you like to push the ball downfield and take chances. You can't keep doing that. And Jordan Love's interceptions are bad. And I understand also, and this is something that we got to take into account too. Listen, what is it, year 5 for him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's only started, barely 16 total games in his career?
Mm-hmm.
So there's still a learning period, I think, for Jordan, but they got to rein it in a little bit with him, man. We can't, and I say we, talking in Green Bay terms, or anybody's terms for that matter, we cannot win with you averaging a pick per game. And if those picks turn into pick 6s, you killing us. Like, you double killing us. That's a big reason why I'm not really sold on Green Bay this year. Green Bay could and should be our biggest competition, but until he matures as a passer, we're going to keep beating him. Now, is he talented enough to have the Thanksgiving game he had against us last year? Or the game we saw he had against Dallas in the playoffs where he channeled his inner Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
He's capable of it because he's physically capable of it. But no, you're not going to beat us playing mistake football, especially when we're not making mistakes. You can't be out there throwing picks against us, giving us short-ass fields consistently the way Tennessee did. We're the type of team now where we're going to bite you on that. We're going to capitalize off that. And it's been a long time since we had a Lions team where we could say, you have to play clean football against us to beat us. And I think that's what you got to kind of do right now. So, I think the whole Minnesota-Green Bay thing is going to be a battle. Darnold is going to get to a point where he's going to start. He's turning the ball over too. And if you notice, ever since the game against us, he starts fast and then he fades. He plays worse the game goes on. And that's weird for a veteran. Like, you expect a veteran to maybe start slow a little bit and then pick it up as the game goes on. Darnold gets worse as the game goes on, man. And same thing with them. That's a team that can play. They have talent. And the quarterback is the one position on that team that is obviously holding them back. That's just me going on my Minnesota Green Bay rant, though.
No, I feel you.
Yeah, no, you make some good points. And I mean, I think for the Vikings perspective, the next 2 weeks is an opportunity to pad some wins that they're going to need down the stretch. It's at Jacksonville and at Tennessee, 2 games that they should be able to, put in their back pocket. And then, you have the Bears, Arizona, Atlanta, and then Chicago again. I mean, that's a tough stretch. And the benefit for them is that 3 of those 4 games are at home. And I guess back to maybe a little bit of my San Francisco and why I have them there is, you guys have mentioned the term battle tested. That's a team that's been in very deep runs for the past couple of years. I still think that having guys like Nick Bosa and Fred Warner are the difference for those teams. They'll keep them in those games. And now they're getting Christian McCaffrey back. So we know they can run the ball. McCaffrey's back. I don't expect him to just completely go nuclear right away. I think it's just going to take him some time to really get adjusted. But, this week they have Tampa, a team that just, had an tough emotional loss in Kansas City. They're on a short week and they're traveling all the way to the West Coast. That's tough. And then you have Seattle, Green Bay, Buffalo. That's not easy either. And that, like you guys mentioned, these division games are just weird and they can go either way. So, yes, I do think that it'll be tough for San Francisco. But I think they have the experience and I think they'll be able to get through it. I mean, Debo's no scrub. We know George Kittle and what he's capable of. So they're just going to have to, I think, control the clock, run the ball, get some play action, and maybe they'll sneak into it. I had a tough time with that last spot. I think if Tampa was healthier, I would be more comfortable with them.
Yeah.
But I just think that defense just continues to let them down. So I don't know. We'll see.
All right.
Facts.
Last question, man. You guys' estimation. Detroit is the number 1 seed in the NFC right now. Best team playing the best overall football in the NFC right now. Who is the biggest threat to them right now? If you're looking at all the records, you're looking at offenses, you're looking at defenses, you're looking at the coach factor. Who is the biggest threat to Detroit right now, you think, moving forward?
Oh boy, that's a great question. If I had to just pick one right now, boy, I would say that's a really good question. I'm gonna say this. I think Philly. I think right off the bat, I think Philly only because they got the experience. They got, just like Green Bay, they got a talented offense, but I think they way more mature than the Packers, like you said. And they're a little bit more dangerous. Jalen Hurt, Saquon Barkley, they kind of play like we want to play, run first type, to set up the pass, that type of thing. Good offensive line, tough. They play outside, that type of thing. But they're the only team, man. I was going back and forth. Remember, I was saying Green Bay for a long time, and I that's changed. Sunday's game changed my whole perspective on that, dude. I'm just saying, we beat them on their field, played their way, and still beat them. So, yeah, I'm gonna say Philly. If I was gonna say Washington, only because we haven't played, herky jerky type. Jaden Daniels remind me of Lamar Jackson. Remember Lamar Jackson put it on the Lions last year. So I'm not gonna say Washington because I think ultimately we find a way to beat that team. But Philly right now, because there's so much experience and the veteran leadership, quarterback play, good offense. So
yeah, I think I'm gonna disagree with that, but I think Philly does have a good chance there because you have Dallas this week, and we all know that they're beat up. Obviously, no Dak, so that's a big advantage. And then they play Washington, but Washington this week has Pittsburgh, so that's tough to kind of rebound back from, even though it's at home. After facing the Steelers to face the Eagles, I think the biggest threat for me, I guess, we're going NFC, right? I'm gonna say that it's gonna be the Rams for the Lions, and I feel like the last 2 meetings that you have had with the Rams have been very tight. Obviously, week 1 this year, that game went into overtime. It was obviously week 1. I'd be curious to see what that matchup would look like now. I just think the Rams, I just don't trust that the other teams in this mix would hang with the Lions as well as the Rams. Even though the Rams are very young on defense, I think they're playing inspired football. But having a healthy Cooper Kupp, Nakua, and Kyron Williams, who seems to score basically every week. With Stafford who's playing, with a ton of confidence. I just trust him more than Jaden Daniels, who's a rookie, Kirk Cousins, who gets to a certain point and then kind of falls flat. You mentioned Darnold; he kind of just up and down, up and down. With the Eagles, they are talented and they could definitely put points on the board. They can, run the ball effectively. I think that their kryptonite is their head coach. I think Nick Sirianni leaves a lot of meat on the bone. I think he gets way too aggressive at times, going for the 4th downs, not taking field goals. I mean, they almost lost at home to the Jacksonville Jaguars. If it wasn't for Trevor's awful decision on first and whatever the yardage was, throwing, a fade route to Dearness Johnson, you're looking at a different outcome, I think. So I haven't really seen the Eagles play a complete game up until that Bengals game 2 weeks ago. Obviously, they dismantled the Giants. That was just whatever. The Giants aren't very competitive anyway. But I think for me, it's the Rams. I don't trust the Eagles because of the coach. I think if they had a different coach and a guy that wasn't so aggressive, I think that would be the team. But I just can't say. I think they'll be in the mix. I think their head coach brings them down at the end of the day.
Also, to piggyback off that with the Rams, and I said this earlier in the season, and we saw it with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's tough as hell to beat a team 3 times in a row, especially if the last 2 times you played were both tough games. And, we beat Tampa Bay twice last year. We beat them during the regular season in Tampa. It was still a close game until that Jameson Williams touchdown, which turned out to be a kill shot. The playoff game, it was tight going into the fourth quarter still before we were able to close them out. And round 3, what happened? We outplayed them, but they managed to beat us. We outplayed them, but they still managed to beat us. And I've been saying this ever since the Rams win week 1 in overtime. Lions fans extra confident about it. We got Stafford's number. We got McVay's number. We got them. I'm not worried about the Rams. I'm like, bullshit. If you think the third game is guaranteed to go our way, you silly. You silly, because the Rams can easily beat us. It's tough to beat, especially when you're talking about a quality head coach, a championship head coach, and a quality starting quarterback.
Right.
The Rams are very capable of beating us, and that's not a team that I would at all get overconfident against because, like I said, for some teams, third time is the charm.
Yeah.
Even though offensively we dominated Tampa, and they still managed to get the win.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's tough, man. It's tough to beat a divisional opponent 3 times in a row, even bad ones. Think about how many times Brady has struggles against the Miami Dolphins or the Buffalo Bills. It's just tough. And we're not even in the same division with the Rams, but they know us. They know us very well. Remember the year that the whole trade happened, we played the Rams in LA and they embarrassed us. And then we played them 2 more times since then, once again in the playoffs, and then, of course, week 1 of this season. So I think the Rams are very capable. We saw last week, Stafford pulled out his inner Roy Jones Jr. Y'all must have forgot. Because, dude, the throws that dude makes and the confidence he has in his arm. Like I said this earlier in the season, I understand Jared Goff statistically is playing like the best quarterback in the league. We talked about this, about whether or not Stafford is still the best quarterback in the NFC. And if you want to be honest about it, if we talking about a 1-game situation, the guy that can go out there and lead the game-winning drive, the entire playbook is open.
Yeah.
Stafford is still that guy. He's still that guy. Goff is, because I don't think there's really any real comparison. Stafford and Goff, if we're talking about physical capabilities, Stafford blows Goff out the water. Goff is playing the better football, the better consistent football, and you can make the argument that this team is tailor-made for him. And that, because someone asked me the other day, like, would this team be better with Stafford? And I told this person, Jameson Williams would be better with Stafford. Outside of that, I'm not sure, because I think Stafford still takes too many unnecessary risks at times. And having a quarterback like Matthew Stafford, an offensive coordinator, is more eager to open up his playbook. So if Ben Johnson had Stafford, there's a good chance Ben Johnson would throw the ball downfield a whole lot more. They would take a lot more risk. And like you said, Jameson Williams would be a whole lot better with Stafford. Stafford would have no issue getting Jameson Williams the football at all. But I like what we have right now. I think Goff is the perfect mesh for us. But yes, Stafford's a killer, man. Stafford's a killer. And I think hands down, outside of Goff, he is the best quarterback in the NFC right now. And him and McVay, playoff game, winner take all, those dudes can get cutthroat. So I agree 100%. I do think the Rams. You and I, Shanti, we agreed at the beginning of the season. We felt that the Rams were going to be the biggest competition outside of maybe the Green Bay Packers. But all right, man, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Love having you on, Steve. Man, you great every time.
Thanks for having me, man. Always.
Let these
awesome,
people
man.
know where to find you as far as all your articles and your New York Giants content.
Well, you can just follow me on my Facebook page, Steven Sanchez. I haven't really quite written too much lately for any Giants related stuff. Life's kind of in the way, working and having a son and, with a wife and everything. So, you can also follow me on Twitter. Let me give you, what is it? It's at Sanchez Steven 21. Just love talking about football, love talking about X's and O's, and starting to look ahead to the draft because I have no choice.
I ain't want to say that, man, but I have no choice.
So, yeah, I don't think, Shedeur Sanders is going to be on our team. I think he might be going to Vegas if they get the number 1 pick, but maybe Cam Ward out of Miami might be the guy. Yeah. I don't even know. I don't even know where this class falls this year. But
you sound so defeated, man.
Because we're gonna wind up winning some games. We have the Panthers, we have the Saints coming up, we have the Colts, and then we're gonna just not be in the position to get a Cam Ward. But I don't know. I just don't know. This team is in limbo. But I appreciate you guys having me on, man. I always like talking about this stuff. So.
Yeah. Shanti, anything you want to say to these gracious people? Well, I'm gracious for having these people.
Yeah, we get ready for our next show. We get ready for Sunday Night Football, man.
Houston
against Houston. A huge game. Another one. Scouting report. Coming up here. I think it sounds like Nico Collins might play for the Texans. So they formed their own challenge to us, but I think they got a little bit of issues on offensive line. Look like they can't protect CJ Stroud, man. So I think that's going to be an issue for them right off the bat, in my opinion. So, yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back to talk Houston, Texas. I'm looking forward to it.
Saturday morning.
I'm really looking forward to it. So appreciate everybody. Stop by Bobby Drake. 313 and Fun, Mike Barker, Ralphie always shouting out. So thanks to our listeners and watchers. So
definitely. Thank you for everybody for joining us tonight. Steven Sanchez as well as Spirit of Detroit. Breaking down the Za'Darius Smith trade, as well as our personal thoughts on the NFC and our predictions on how the NFC will eventually break down to the final 7 seeds. Thank everybody for joining us. We will be back Saturday morning, breaking down the Houston, Texas game, covering it from all angles, point spreads, money lines, everything you guys can think of. And we will also have 2 bonus games as usual, giving you our thoughts on those games and which direction to bet in. Remember, bet responsibly. One Pride.